Hello everybody, welcome to another vlog style video. Today we're going to be building a PC. There's been a lot of refurbishing PCs on this channel lately and refurbishing iMacs and stuff like that, but this time we're building a PC from scratch. And now this one isn't for myself, this one's actually for my father to use with AutoCAD and designing software like that. He has done many projects in AutoCAD and designing airports and roads and many things in between over the years in his career, and he still enjoys doing so today. But the computer that he has at home is probably from about 2010 or 12 or somewhere around that time, or even older for all I can remember, because it was originally running Windows 7. And when Windows 10 came out, we eventually moved it up to that, and well, now it's just starting to get a little, as you would say, I guess, long in the tooth. It's really not able to do everything that he's looking to do with the software that he has in his retirement time now, and just designing different projects and things for other people. So here we are, we're going to build a PC for him, and in a world of computers that are all designed for gaming, this one won't have all the bells and whistles of RGB. It's going to be sitting on the floor, you know, being a workhorse, not necessarily a, ooh, that's shiny. But anyway, today I got home from work and we have many packages here to unbox. So let's go ahead and see what's inside of some of them. So here's the first box that arrived today. And of course, with this type of paper tape, we get a lot of boxes like this at work. The only way to open them is to punch it. So let's see what's inside box number one. Ooh, looks like we got the graphics card in here. It's a 40 series. Yes, it's a 60. It's nothing gamer fancy. I know there's some, it's, you know, I can see gamers saying things now. Oh, that's not the highest. We're not doing gaming. We're doing AutoCAD. This is way better than what he has right now, so we're great. And we have a 2 terabyte Crucial SSD. Boy, look at those speeds. Wow. Certainly seems like something's rattling around in there. Maybe we should open that up to be safe about it. What in the world is rattling around in here? Oh, there's a screw. It comes with a screw. I thought the motherboard would come with the screw to put it in. There it is, M.2, 200 gigabyte. I love Crucial products. Right from Micron. Micron, yes. Yep, let's look at Micron. Okay, keep looking at it. There it is, Micron, when they made computers for a short period of time. And of course, now they're here in the memory and SSD world. So that's what that is, just a screw in there. And back to the 4060 here. It's not your 4090 or 4080 or even a 4070, it's a 4060, but the price difference between a 4060 and a 4070 is more than double the price for this thing. And I mean, this is going to serve him well from what I've seen for the specifications of the software he uses. This is going to be great. So that's what's in box number one here, now that we know what the rattling is. Box number two is the case. It's a Corsair 4000D Airflow. And one of the reasons I decided to go with this case is, well, it's actually available. A lot of the cases I was looking at for this project, I liked because they were simple, but were not available. The ones that are available all have, you know, glass side panels and stuff. Everybody wants to see what's inside. We could care less. We just want this thing to be functional. So this was one of them. Toward the top of the PC part picker list, because I use that wonderful website to make sure all these components will work together, because I really don't know the ins and outs of everything that's going to be compatible at the very moment. I'm a Mac person. I know Mac things. I know how to use Windows and things like that. I programmed on it, but I still like my Macs. Anyway, using PC Part Picker, this is one of the top results that was actually in stock, and most importantly, it still has drive bays inside for 3.5-inch spinning hard drives. A lot of cases nowadays don't have that anymore. It's all, you know, the M.2 SSDs on the motherboard or some 2.5-inch SSD mounts on the back of the case. I believe this case has three 3.5-inch hard drive bays, which is wonderful. My dad has internal hard drives on his current machine, and at least there'll be space for it in this case. Now this package literally showed up while I was just starting to film this video. So we got a third package today. And again, oh, we got something right in there. We can't do this. There we go. Just got to give it some persuasion, you know. Let's see what's inside box number 3 until somebody else comes to knock at the door. Okay, looks like we got power supply here. It's also a Corsair. It's a modular power supply. I'm super excited to use one of these. All the power supplies I've always used for builds for people have had the power cords already connected, but these are becoming more popular. A little bit overkill. The graphics card requires a 500 or more watt power supply. The whole build altogether I think was about 500 something watts, but I wanted to go a little higher just for that extra room and future expandability, but also it really wasn't that much more expensive to get a couple hundred watts from this type of power supply. It also seems to be I think an 80 plus gold rating or something like that, but it comes with all the cables we need. So I guess we'll just set that aside. That'll match the case. You know, I didn't even look at the case if it comes with a power supply. I don't think so, but if it does, hey, I guess we'll have one for another project. And here appears to be the cooler. Oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. This thing is huge. Well, there's something else down here too. Ooh, some RAM. Oh wow, look at that, DDR5. You know, I don't even think I own anything that has DDR4 in it. I don't even know what speed RAM the M series Max use, but I suppose maybe that would qualify. But here we go again with wonderful Crucial products. 32 gigs of RAM. The motherboard that isn't here yet supports 4 slots, but here we'll have 2, so we'll have 2 open for future expandability. Again, nothing flashy. This is just basic RAM. We don't need RGB, none of that stuff. We need functionality and quality. And this is definitely quality. Now, let me figure out how in the world to get this thing out of here, because it is incredibly heavy. And that was something to do with just one hand. So let's get rid of that box. And boy, is this thing huge. It better fit inside of this case. I know Noctua is a great brand. It was one of the coolers that was beefy enough, I think, for the, not power supply, why can't I think of words tonight? See, this is what happens after a day of work. You just can't think of anything anymore. You just want to, you know, unwind and be done for the day. I'm thinking of the CPU, the processor. I think this will go well with the processor. You'll see what I chose once we get that package in here eventually. But this thing is huge, at least the box is. Goodness, and it's heavy as can be. I mean, look at my hand on this thing. Here's the RAM. What? That's crazy. It's just huge compared to, like, here's the power supply box. But I know that this is a good brand, and I think it'll work well with the CPU that he's getting. I didn't want to do anything that had, like, a remote water cool. You know, like a lot of them have the mount on the CPU, and then you have the cooler that's separate you put on the case somewhere. I wanted something basic like this. He knows how to clean these kinds of things, and at least it's one less thing to go bad, you know, like a pump or something. This is you know, heat, so it's just gonna blow it away, of course. So that's what we got in the first 3 boxes. I guess we'll wait and see what comes in the next couple days. It's a couple days later, and we got another box here, so let's see what's inside. They didn't even tape it all the way. Looks like it's the motherboard. There we go. Very nice. So this is our motherboard for an AMD processor. I'm trying to find on it if it says gigabyte anywhere. Okay, there it is. I know I bought a gigabyte motherboard. That must be their name for their motherboards. Boy, this thing's actually really heavy. Okay, so we got the motherboard. Let's, we don't need packaging right now. Just throw that away. Okay, We got another package here. And this one you got to use 2 hands. Okay. Toothbrush heads. Yeah, that's got nothing to do with this project. We'll get rid of that. Okay. This is an interesting box. Can't say I've seen Amazon use a box like this before. Interesting. This box. Yes, very interesting box. Looks like it has a pull tab here. Well, that didn't work out too good. I don't know, it looked like it had a pull tab. What an interesting box. How are you supposed to open this? Does this whole thing pull up? Well, that's not working so good. Yeah, it says pull to open. So, we'll just continue doing this, I guess. Because where I thought the tab was is definitely not working. What an interesting box, and well, there's our processor. It's the AMD Ryzen 7 7800X3D. This should be very nice for my dad to use with his AutoCAD software. There it is. Okay, so there's the processor and the motherboard to go along with all of our other goodies. So I think we have everything to get started. Well, it's finally the weekend and we got all of our parts. So let's start putting the computer together. So we got all of our parts. Let's get the case up here and we'll start there. So let's see what's inside. Well, we got a fan here in the front and one in the back. And of course our motherboard will go here. We got, excuse me, all of our wires for the I/O on the front. And it looks like we'll need to open the back to get to the rest. This is holding on this mat on the top, so we can get rid of that. And it looks like it's magnetic. You got the magnets around the side and little, this is kind of like a rubber Corsair logo there for your filter. Okay, so we have 2 SSD mounts, and I know earlier in the video I said something about there's 3 spots to put 3.5-inch hard drives, but it looks like there's just 2. Whatever, that's fine. They make enclosures externally for that kind of stuff. And they have these nice Velcro things here to help cable manage everything. Let's see, we got our tray here. We could pull that out. And I'm sure we have all of our screws in here. Even put little holes in there so it stays in. I like these toolless trays. They're super easy to work with. We got some foam here, I'm sure just for shipping. And, well, let me think about what we should start with. In here, well, we got some more little cable ties. There's our zip ties and screws. Wonderful, that's what I'm looking for. I'm thinking one thing we can start with is getting the power supply in here, because that's going to be easy. It's not going to be in the way of anything anyway, and it's modular. Well, let's just see how big it is, because it really depends. We might need room here to plug things in, and if we can't get our hand in here to do that, then that wouldn't be a good idea. Certainly is a heavy box. Okay, more zip ties and screws. Safety compliance. We have our main power cable here, a nice beefy one. And all of our power cables. I like that it's modular, that's very cool. Okay, here's our power supply itself. Set the box aside. Oops. Oh, it's smaller than I thought it would be. I thought it would be a slightly longer one, being a higher wattage supply. A nice fan there at the bottom. Okay, so let's see how that fits in here. Okay, I guess it's just upside down on this side. Yep, so that'll fit fine. There we go. And the fan lines up with our little screen down here, so that's good. And there's plenty of room for us to get our hand in there. So that's also just fine. You know what it also looks like? You can remove this thing and take the whole hard drive cage out if you really wanted to. Definitely gives you some more room down there. I wonder if you can slide it in maybe over a little further so you get some more room over here. Sure enough, you can put this in two different spots. You can put it here, or you can put it over here. I think it'd be better here because you get more room over here for wires and stuff. So we'll just secure it over here, because I feel like if I secure it after the fact and all the wires are in, it'll be harder to reach in here and put these thumb screws in. Now, one thing, they have this fan here, but they didn't route this wire anywhere. I'd almost want it to just go back here so you don't have to look at it, because nobody wants to look at that. And this, you know, one nice thing I noticed with this case is they give you plenty of room up top here to squeeze things behind the motherboard. A lot of cases don't do that, and it can get quite hard to get your cables back there. I suppose the next thing would be putting our motherboard in, or we could put our CPU on in the cooler. Let me think about what one we should do first. So I thought about it, and considering a couple different things, I'm not sure how big the CPU cooler will be on the motherboard, and if I'm able to get to all the screws to mount it to the case itself. So I think we'll put the motherboard into the case, and then we'll put the CPU and the cooler on. It might be harder because we have the case around it, and it's a little smaller area to work with, but we'll give that a try first. We can always take it out and do it the other way if it's not going to work. We'll pull it out gently here. Boy, that is heavy. Boy, wow. Okay, let's see what else we get in here. Here's a, it looks like an adapter or something to help you plug all the I/O in for the front of the case. Interesting. Okay, so we'll take this out. And we have our instruction guide. Oh, this is a Wi-Fi antenna. I know it said something about that on the box. Oh, we do get a SATA cable, or two actually. That's not too bad. That's nice. I wasn't expecting that. And then must be just some type of regulatory information. Okay, so that's what's inside of the box. This is very heavy. We definitely have a lot of heat sink going on here. That is crazy. Okay. Very excited. We have our tape here on the back. We'll try to get off. There we go. And it looks like we already have some type of back plate on here. Oh boy. How do I want to hold this? We'll hold it by this giant heatsink. Okay, so we already have some type of back plate on here. I know sometimes they don't come with that. And here is our I/O. Nice. We do have one USB-C. That's so interesting. You'd think that more of these would have a ton of USB-C on it. But I mean, you can put a card in here for more. Maybe it's just because I'm in a modern Mac world and that's really all we get. Okay. Although the Mac Mini and I think the Mac Studio and Pro have regular USB ports. Regular meaning like standard you've seen for years and years. Okay, we need this to be slotted into over here. There we go. And we got the little nub in the middle there, centered. So I think we're good there. You know, I took a minute to read instructions here, and believe it or not, the first thing in the instructions here are to install the CPU and its cooler. So there must be plenty of room, at least with a stock cooler, to screw the thing in, because that is what they're doing here. And then they finally put it into the case. So sure, I mean, they would know. Let's do that first instead. I think we need to unbox the CPU cooler because there should be some thermal compound in there. If not, I do have some. We got mounting. Looks like you get a whole system for Intel because it doesn't really include any of that. But we just need one thing here for AMD, it looks like. Okay. Interesting, because it looks like they have something on the motherboard already. I guess we'll see when we get that far. So, just pull open on this end. It looks like it. Oh, and there's all of our stuff. Sure enough, there's our thermal compound. That's what we're looking for. And we have Intel and AMD parts. So we need the AMD parts right here. So let's set those aside. And it looks like we have our fan clips and some different wires. Now I'm not sure what all the wires are yet. Hey, look at this, it even comes with a makeshift screwdriver and a little badge you can put on your computer. Oh, it's metal too. Isn't that cool? And let's see what's in here. Boy, it's boxes inside of boxes inside of boxes. Boy, this is definitely the CPU cooler. It is heavy. And here's our extra fan that will go on there. Oh, look at that. You can see it right from the side. Okay, we'll set that aside too. And there's our extra padding in the box. Looks like we open this up like so. There's our cooler. Boy, it is a wide one. It looks like it just slides right on out. Okay, well that came off already. I was not wanting that to. Looking at the instructions here, we need to remove the stock holder, which is holding the back plate in place, and install our little metal pieces here that we did receive. Okay, we got to take off these, and the back plate should stay in place on the new socket architecture here. Now, we need to open our hardware packet, and we're going to put on our little spacers here. And now, let's see where to put these on. We have been instructed to choose the offset position for this style of CPU. So we have our longer screws here, and these will go into the -7mm spot. So let's get those hand tightened in here. Okay, then we'll tighten it down. Not too tight, just snug. Interesting that during this process it wanted me to have the CPU already installed. I didn't really notice that, but let's see if we can get it in there anyway. To be honest, I absolutely hate dealing with CPUs because I always want this to be perfect. You know, you need your CPU to be good or else you just messed up everything. And you need the cooling performance to be good too. So let's go ahead and unbox our CPU here and see what we got inside. So it looks like we need to just get this sticker open here. Oh, and it's magnetic. Boy, are we fancy today. There we go. Take this out. There's our CPU. Just a giant box. I'm sure some of these come with a cooler, then they just use the same box. There's that, and our instructions, and some little card. Okay, let's put all this aside. Got our CPU. I like how there's already a black speck of dust underneath there, because, you know, from the factory, we got to keep things, you know, just as clean as can be. But anyway, we need to first get this cover off of here. So let's release it. It says remove. Oh, sure enough, see? That does need to be gone for this to happen. Oh, that's the cover, dummy. We need to get this plastic thing off. Okay, there we go. I don't like how that landed on the pins. But I don't see anything out of the ordinary, and I'm trying not to get mouth particles on it. So I think we're okay. Okay, now we can lift this up. And we have our CPU here. Okay, nice thing is that that little speck of dust stayed on the case. Now, try to pick it up from the corners here, because I don't want to touch the metal top piece. Boy, that is a heavy CPU. There's the back of it. Only the edges. And we have a notch here at the top. And that'll match up with our notch in here. So it can be very gentle. Okay, it's sitting in there. We'll put that down. And here we go. That's a interesting noise. It's in there. Okay, we got that annoying part done. Now let's get our CPU holder back on here. Now, in the instructions, it gives us some idea as to how to put the thermal compound. Now, I've heard many different ways that you can do this, but it looks like they want us to put 5 different dots on here, like we're making like a cracker or something. So we'll do the little way that they say to do it here, and I'll turn it so hopefully my hand isn't necessarily in the way. Okay, so one thing that I do is you could pull this back in to get rid of the residual stuff on the end there. Just make it nice and clean, because we have plenty in here for other projects. So there's our sizing. They say the outside ones are about 2 millimeters and the middle one is about 4. I think we got that. Here is our cooler. This thing is a beast. Goodness gracious. So I do believe with this particular design, we need to take out the fan here in the middle in order to gain access to the screws underneath. So these kind of pull off as far as my understanding is, because it just clips on to the fins. And this should come off for us. There we go. Boy, that is a giant fan. Okay, I suppose this would be up because that's how their logo is. And we could take this cover off, but first, okay, these screw over that. Oh, I was so confused. I thought these little things here were just kind of help you line it up, but they're threaded, and these screws are reverse. They're like a nut. They got the thread on the inside. Very interesting. These coffee filters, they're perfect for cleaning things like this because they leave nothing behind. And there. Now we cleaned off all that dust. Now we can seat this on here. Boy, I hope the RAM will fit. I think they said to put the RAM in before you do this, but you know what? Here we go. Okay, now I see a couple things that kind of concern me. One of them is, how are we going to get this SSD in here? Hopefully it doesn't have to come up too high. I guess we'll deal with that when we get there. The one thing that, like I say, is really concerning me is if we can get this SSD out of here, because it's such a giant cooler. So let me get a smaller screwdriver. I am just so curious on if we can get that thing out, because that would be really annoying if we can't. And I'm not sure how much of an angle. Okay, so this is just a, well, this is a heat sink. Oh my goodness. Well, I was not expecting that. Okay, well, I mean, technically we're done with the annoying parts. Let's see if we can get this in here. And what in the world is this? Is that how you lock it in place? It doesn't use a screw? How interesting is that? So we have our drive, and we have the screw that it came with, because at least all the instances I've seen of these being used, you have to screw it in. Now, of course, I opened it wrong. So I guess we have a little extra screw here. And here's our SSD. Now, I don't know what in the world you would put on this in terms of CPU or cooling, because you have the sticker on the top. How are you supposed to cool that? Interesting. So this just goes right in here, as far as my understanding. Oh yeah, okay, we have plenty of room. And then once that's seated in there, we can push it down. I don't understand this mechanism. Oh, it literally just locks it in there. Oh, Okay, so it has a very small little notch here that holds it in place. How interesting. Yeah, we have this paper sticker over it. I don't know what in the world I would do with this heatsink when it has a paper sticker over it. How's that supposed to help it? I don't know if we're going to use this or not. But at least we know the SSD does fit. Since we're having fun putting memory in, let's just continue doing so. Here is our RAM sticks. It does say what ones to put your sticks in first. So it says first is this one and this one. And we'll push down. There we go. And one more over here. Nice, those do fit, thank goodness. Let's see if we can get this fan back in here. Ooh, okay, well those clips come off. It should just clip right onto the fins, indeed it does. So that is our CPU fan, so we'll want to plug that into our CPU fan header here. Okay, so we got everything on here, and now I think we're good to put it into the case. Taking a second to think about what we want to do next, I was thinking about this fan here, and how in the world do you put two fans onto one fan header? Well, looking at the instructions here, they already thought about that for us, and that's what these little cables are. So this is a splitter, and these apparently reduce noise or something, but I don't think we're really worried about noise, low noise adapter. We are worried about making sure that they're both going the same speed, so we definitely need this, and these little clips here, to make sure that we can clip it on to the end. Now, I'm not sure if I want to put that in right this second, but we can definitely put it on and see what we end up with, I suppose. So we'll get the fan out of the box, and let's see here. It'll need to go this way. So I'll have it come out like there. And it looks like these clips go onto the outside of the fan. There might be a clearance problem with the RAM, but we'll put it on however we can here. And so there it is on the RAM. I'm gonna lift it up slightly and see if we can get it on a little taller than it normally would be, just because of the RAM being there. So we don't have it touching the RAM. It certainly feels like it might, but it's not. Now we have our two wires that are going to be for the fans. So let's unplug this one. And these both will have to be put together. And maybe we'll just slide them into the back. The hard part here really is getting this adapter in here and curved to plug into the motherboard header. But we'll give it a try. Finally able to get that adapter plugged in there, and both of the fan wires coming through the back here. So if we lift this up, we'll see our Y splitter here, and at least that'll be able to hide here in the back and we won't have to look at it. Thinking of the fan cables, we have another fan cable here in the front and all these cables, and we need to put some in for the power supply, of course. So I think we're going to focus on doing some cable management here. This is certainly a different connector I haven't seen before. Wasn't sure what it is, but I'm guessing it's USB-C, because there is a USB 3.0 header, and this looks like it goes right here. Very interesting connector here. It kind of helps you line everything up, and then you just plug it in all in as one. Sure enough, there we go. All the little bottom stuff is plugged in. It's time to open the bag of many cables, and use the ones that we need anyway. Got the modular cables plugged in down here, so that's good. Plenty of room to do so. And they're all plugged into the CPU. The one thing that kind of confuses me up here, actually, is that there's two plugs. You have this 8-pin one and the old traditional 4-pin. I don't know if you need both of them filled, but there certainly is not a cable here for the other one. So maybe it's a either or situation. With all the main cables plugged in, I think it's time to unbox the GPU. Open it up. Don't need that right this second. Oh, it does have 3 fans. Boy, graphics cards sure have gotten bigger over the years. Okay. So now, in here, we're going to want to open this up. And this looks like a 2-slot card, so we're going to need to take out 2 of these. There it is. You can see right through that heatsink. Crazy. Okay, so now we just need to get that into the slot here. And we'll take off this protective cover. And let's see what we can do here. Okay, and I think that locking clip underneath slid in too. So now we'll get these little thumb screws put back in. Wonderful, looking great. Now we can see what kind of cord. Now this is for those really fancy new GPUs. We don't have that. But I think we can use this one. It just says PCIe. And we combine these two and put it in there. The problem with this plug is that it's always the most ugly because it has to go like somewhere. And it's not usually the prettiest thing. So we'll see if we can loop it through the back and down somehow. So I was originally going to loop this around over the top and through the side hole there to kind of keep it close to everything. But I don't really want to block any more of these fins that is already blocked by the fans and everything here. And I could do it underneath too, but then I'm blocking the fan. So I think we'll just have it come down straight like this, allowing enough airflow for everything. Now that we got the GPU plugged in, I also plugged in behind it a SATA cable so that when my dad puts his hard drives in here, at least that's already plugged in back there. The cables on the back are looking good. I'm not sure if we'll be able to close it with so many here going down this channel, but I guess we'll find out because I think we're done back here. Let's see what we can do. It slides in over here and down it goes. Wow, actually, we're perfectly fine. And there's the insides. I believe we're all good there too. I do notice that this is getting unplugged, probably from cable management. So we'll get that back in there. Yeah, we do have this cable coming down right here, but I don't know what else to do about it. I really want there to be airflow around all this stuff. I think we're ready to turn it on. So, I gotta find a monitor that I can actually hook up to this thing. The monitor of choice today is an Apple monitor, of course, because it's like the only thing I have. This is a 23-inch Cinema HD display after cleaning it off from sitting in the closet forever. Here it is. Of course, I'd use another monitor. I have a Dell, but it only has VGA on it. I do have an adapter for that, but no. We need a bigger monitor for this thing. I mean, I could use the Apple monitors, but you know, this one has a mini display, and that one's USB-C, and neither of those are on this graphics card. But this one has DVI, and it looks like I already have an HDMI adapter on here. Found one in the random cable bin anyway, so hopefully we'll be able to see this thing turn on. Getting closer. We have the monitor plugged in and power, nothing on yet, but it'd probably help if we had a keyboard and mouse. Everything that we should need is plugged in, minus speakers, but we don't really need that. So let's turn on the power supply. Power supply is on. I don't think this turns on without a signal. I also think something's wrong with its power supply. But we'll find out soon enough. Okay, let's turn on the switch on the back. Nothing's gone poof yet. And let's hit the power button. Oh, we got a light on the monitor. And we got a red light on the board. I'm not sure what that means. You have some RGB lights down underneath here. Oh, we got a cursor. Hey, look at that. Nice. Okay, new CPU installed. I'm sure it won't find anything to boot naturally. There's nothing there to boot. But hey, we got something on the screen. I'm real happy with that. It's so funny. There's like some LED lights underneath here, like under this cooler, and that's really it. There's just a little bit of RGB down there. I mean, it'd be better if there was nothing, but okay, we have mouse. BIOS has been reset. Please reconfigure your BIOS items if needed. Okay. Boy, now, I don't know much about BIOS settings other than certain things are in here that you can really mess things up or make things even better. So I'm probably gonna have to do a little bit of research with that. We do have our 32 gigs of RAM, and they both show up here. Very, very cool. Now, of course, we will need to install Windows, and I'm going to choose Windows 10 for this. I spoke with my father about it. If you wanted 10 or 11, hopefully 12 will be out here later this year or something, and it'll be better than 11, but I don't know about that. So we're going to put 10 on here for now. We can always upgrade it to something else later. And I'm going to mess around with this for a while, and I suppose we'll return eventually here. Didn't really change anything in the BIOS other than the date and time. And now we're installing Windows 10. Just a boring Windows install as usual, but here we are at the desktop. Went absolutely fine, and now we're installing Office 2010. Yes, an older version, but I still have a legit key for it, and my father still uses it just fine. So we'll get that installed on here, including some other programs, so that it'll all be ready to go for him. Well, everything is installed and ready to go. I don't have his CAD program installed yet. I'll let him take care of that, but all the programs that he asked me to install are now installed, and everything's up to date. A very easy process, very concerning, you know, doing some of the internals here, but I think the thermal worked out fine. These fans barely get audibly, you know, really loud, like if you had a fan on, you know, a desk fan or something. These are very quiet fans. It is funny having a little bit of RGB down here going on. I'm just going to leave it like that. I kind of think it's a unique little light going on in there. Of course, you could probably put the software in here and just turn it off. But found the drivers for the Wi-Fi antenna, so I don't have to use this old USB one. But that USB one works with Windows when it's first installed. You don't need a fancy driver, which is nice. So that got us up and going until we could get the motherboard drivers installed for the chips that are on the motherboard. It also installed the graphics driver for the onboard graphics of that the CPU has in it, and I had to install the 4060 Ti drivers. Windows didn't want to find that for some reason, but it did find the drivers for the integrated graphics. So I suppose if anything goes wrong with this, at least he has that backup until another card can be found or something. You know, it's not a CPU that doesn't have that capability, which is nice. We can take a look at some of the specs here. So there's our CPU with the individual threads being shown. It is an 8-core processor with 2 threads per core. And there's our 32 gigs of RAM. We also have the GPU showing up. And the integrated one here, of course, it's not going to be doing anything. But there's our 4060 Ti. Very nice. So, what is left to do? Well, we need to put the side panel on, and I want to put in some SATA cables down here, so when my dad puts in his hard drives, it'll all be ready for him. All the cables will be there. So I want to do that, get the side panel on, and I think we're pretty much done for right now, thankfully. I'll see if Windows has anything else to update, but other than that, this has been a very quality project. So I've been very happy with the results. We'll add the stickers on top, because why not? Last but not least, we have the glass side cover here, and it is definitely glass. It's heavy as can be. We'll take off the inside plastic, but I'm going to leave the outside for my dad to take off. So let's slide this in here. It should clip on, and there we go. And I suppose that'll bring us to the end of creating this machine. What a wonderful project. Haven't created a PC like this from scratch in quite a long time. I've done it for my friends a couple times, but in general, it certainly has been a minute. If I end up needing Windows, a Windows desktop, well, believe it or not, this also boots Windows, and I do have Windows 10 installed on it. but this will be a wonderful upgrade for my father to use with his program. So I'm really happy with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed following along this not so really well pieced together video. It's just kind of random clips of a person putting a computer together. But you know what? I enjoyed doing it, and I hope you enjoyed following along. Once again, I do hope you enjoyed this video, and also please comment, rate, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you in the next one.